I'll call our meeting to order and welcome North Middle to our site-based meetings. And I guess at this time, I'll just turn it over to Mr. Rager.
All right, I'm going to start by just kind of briefly discussing our K-Prep data. I'm really big on trends and looking to see how we're doing from year to year. And if you look at what's highlighted, that's where we have, in the novice section, we've reduced novice in those 4 categories. So that means that we still have some work to do in those other 4 categories as far as reducing novice, because that's one big push now from the state they're going to be looking at is what we're doing with our novice. And on the other end of the spectrum, we actually increased our proficient and distinguished from last year to this year, all but 2 categories, and we almost did every category because we just missed it by 1/10 from 44.6 to 44.5, and then we narrowly missed it 42.3 to 41.4, so we were right there in those categories as well. So again, we're still looking at ways to increase our proficient and distinguished and not be complacent, and we're always looking at ways to reduce novice. You know, one thing that we do is that we do something called silent mentoring, where at first, the first time we did it, we pretty much looked at risk kids and had people, each staff member take 5 students, and that's the one they make that extra effort to just, hey, how's everything going and everything. This year we pretty much did the same thing, really tried to focus on our novice students and silent mentor those. Those kids have no idea that their kind of teachers or staff members are silent mentoring those kids. It's just that, hey, Mr. Lovell's kind of checking in on me, and things like that. So anyway, and then I had people track last year on the students that they had, and a lot of people think that, yeah, I think they performed better on their test, and their grades went up and things like that. So we kind of did a check on that. Another thing that we do as far as trying to improve our test scores, we do a school-wide scrimmage. We do testing groups. We don't just test by home runs. I have the teachers, they kind of do a draft. You pick the kid that's going to work best for you. Put them in the best situation. I never did like as a teacher when, okay, that's your testing group because it's your homeroom. That's what's easiest. Well, we got to do what's best. So what we do is the teachers will kind of go around and they will pick the students. Well, he may not work for you, but he'll work for me. So that's the one I want, and so on and so forth. Then after that goes through, then Mr. Lovell takes 6th grade, Mr. Devine 7th grade, and me 8th grade. And so we have the teachers have the opportunity that if you have some students that are easily distracted during testing, you think, because you have them every day, or the ones that could be possible behavior problems during the test, then we take those kids. Mr. Lovell will take the 6th grade students, Mr. Devine 7th, and I take the 8th grade, and we put them in the best situation. And every year I'm amazed, we'll all three, as soon as we get the test scores back, we'll look and see the kids we had, and then we'll look and say, that student right there, he made a proficient, or whatever, so that, we're proud of him. I've had a couple in my group do distinguished, and I just kind of tell myself, I don't think they would have done that if we would have kept them in a regular whole group setting. So that's kind of what we have going on with testing. And I'll let Mr. Devine kind of talk about school safety there.
As far as school safety, we have, with your help, we have Officer Medford full-time at our North Middle. Certainly glad to have him. Does a great job. Still trying to learn on the go, get with the kids, surroundings and so forth. So definitely tickled to have him. We do have visits from Pirate Police every once in a while, mainly at lunchtime. But no, we are certainly glad to have them as well. We've had a panic button. Of course, with your help, we've done that. It's worked out tremendously. We've tested that a few times. Had some kinks to work out, but I think Jared has worked those things out, so we're glad to have that. Mr. Rager has put in 4 new cameras. Our camera system's great. We're looking to add new cameras every year with money available. Looking to get some added cameras in the gymnasium. It's a big area as far as in the outside, a couple cameras, and maybe some other blind spots. But by and large, our camera system is really good. We put them in very good locations. We feel like have used them throughout the year. And it's helped tremendously to solve some issues. Kids know where the cameras are, and we're talking with them about make sure safety, doing what's supposed to be doing in hallways, restrooms, etc. So that's been a big plus. The biggest thing, one of the biggest things we've done is eliminated the traffic congestion. Of course, we've had the problems in the past with car rider in the afternoon. We've had cars lined up on 62 in the afternoon on the wrong side of the road. We've eliminated that. It's worked out tremendously as far as car riders in the back in the afternoon. There's no problems. That road right there in the back, away from all that main highway. So that's been a tremendous help. We're always trying to make look improvements. As far as the bus situation in the afternoon, haven't had too many problems. There are some blind spots. We're maybe looking at adding some cameras. We do have a large bus line in the afternoon, but at least it's not in the road. So. But as far as additional school safety, we're always constantly talking to our kids, talking to our staff, how we can improve. One thing I'm looking at doing, and I'm going to get SRO Medford involved with that, is maybe, come up with a safety team to meet maybe once a month or quarterly, whatever. Just discuss safety as a whole. We discussed some of that stuff. But like I said, as far as school safety is concerned, we think our school's safe. We're always looking for recommendations. I know you guys played a huge role in that. There's some additional funding, so we appreciate that as well.
Are there any areas that there's no cameras at all?
What's that?
Any areas that there's no cameras at all at this time?
Outside, toward the maintenance area, we don't have cameras right there. We're looking at maybe putting some in there. Our gym, our cameras, we can't zoom in, so some places where you might be able to see, we can zoom in and get a little clearer picture of that. As far as in the building,
Well, it'd just be maybe some areas that we want to see a little bit more. We focused 4 cameras on the front of the building because we moved the buses to the front. We had 0 cameras in the front, so we threw all the money basically at the front of the building this year, and then that was a necessity. And some of the other things like having 4 cameras in the gym versus 2, that's a luxury, but we still want to work toward that, as far as that goes.
Especially all your events are done at the gymnasium.
Yes.
I think you would need, because a lot of traffic comes through those side doors.
Yeah, exactly. Ms. Oldham, do you have anything to add on
I do.
safety?
I am Robin, the parent representative for North Middle, and on school safety, one, I like to just, it's positive that Officer Mefford is in the building now. That makes me feel safe. It makes my daughter feel safe to know that somebody is here.
Yes.
And just anything, if any situation happens. I like knowing that the panic button is there. And the cameras as well. Just knowing that if something were to go down, any of the teachers or the staff in the front can go and say, okay, let's pinpoint where, what's going on, what's the situation. But my big positive is that last one. As a car rider pickup mama, I like coming in here and not having to be, because she was in 6th grade last year, so I was one of those vehicles on the side of the road, and I was scared. Like just sitting there, just kind of in the gravel part,
That's the best thing happened to that.
It was, and I'm going to commend whoever, all of you all, and it's wonderful. I love just the flow of it. You've got that long road behind Longest, and it just
Gives enough time to check all the news.
It does. But I do like that. I think that's one of the best moves, switching the buses and the car riders. It's plus there on my part. But
We feel that way too.
Yes.
yes.
Officer Mefford, anything you'd like to add other than it's the best place you've ever worked?
I am thankful for the opportunity to be there. I do appreciate it. Ricky and you all selecting me for that, so I do appreciate just kind of trying to learn mostly faces. I've only been there for a couple months, and just getting to know some of the teachers and staff and you all, and kind of feeling my way around right now, but mostly learning kids and faces and names and trying to build relationships on that standpoint, and and then just kind of walking around and being visible and making sure that doors are shut. That's kind of what I'm doing right now, and windows and that type of thing, and just seeing if if anything stands out to me at this point. So.
And learning the kids, I see Officer Medford working, building relationships with the kids.
Who I am, that mainly that I've kind of, some of them's a little standoffish at times. Of course, here I am, big, ugly, tall, scary-looking guy packing a gun. And I've told a few of them, I don't want them to think that I'm there trying to spy on anybody to catch any of them.
They're getting that positive message.
I want to be there as a friend, more or less, and if you need something, you can come to me, and then we'll deal with other stuff another way. But so yeah, I'm really thankful for the opportunity to be in there.
And I commend you guys for changing that. I had 7 years to do that, and I didn't do it. And I commend you. That's an undertaking, and it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard so many positives from that, so well done.
Ms. Harris, you want to talk about?
Well, on the school safety, also, to rest your mind, they have also included where Jessica and I and all the teachers on the ends can all call if necessary in an emergency.
Okay, I had 7 years to fix
So,
that. Anything else?
I've only used it one time, and that was about 4:15 in the afternoon to all call somebody that it was time to go. So, but it was a great asset that we can do that now, and I don't know that a lot of people know that we have that access, but it makes us feel better being by the indoors and being so far away from the office to let others know. So that was something else on the school safety that they have done recently. School culture, we do a end of the 9 weeks assembly, and the first assembly that we did was a scavenger hunt, and the 6th grade teachers are in charge of the first one, and the 7th grade do the one at Christmas, and 8th grade do right before spring break. And the tone that was set for that first one, they wanted 8th grade to wear a certain color, 7th grade to wear a color, and 6th grade to wear a color. And it has just carried on throughout the whole entire year with everything they do, the chants that each grade level came up with, they'll start chanting, and just really kind of gives a good atmosphere and a positive competition between grade levels. And it was just super fun. Caitlin Bingham, one of our young teachers, she came from the first one in the scavenger hunt, and she was running, and she was all bruised up the next day, but I think we won. 7th grade won. But anyway.
Full contact scavenger.
It wasn't supposed to be, but it was really, it's been great, and the kids love to anything competition-wise with the teachers, and it was just really neat to see this year was something different that the kids actually carried on. Kind of getting the old concept of a pep rally or competition between each other, but friendly competition. So it's been great as far as that goes. The last 9 weeks is reward day that we do for the students, and that's for their effort on K-Prep testing and throughout that week. And we have some new items this year that they're going to be able to do, but we do bouncy bees, we do outside activities, we do movies. We're going to have a photo booth set up for them this year, so we just kind of try to do something different every now and then. We wanted a rock wall.
No rock wall. No
But
rock
we
wall.
didn't get to do that. We also
They
do.
wanted a rock wall.
We also.
You would have allowed that, wouldn't you?
No. We also do, within our faculty, we do secret pals and just little things throughout the year, and then at the end of the year, we reveal who our secret pal is, and we just do little lift ups, or like maybe it's a cup of coffee on their desk when you get there, or just a little note, or just something to keep the teachers and the faculty and staff just encouraged throughout the year. For our students, we have a star card rewards, and they have to make all A's and B's. They receive a star card each 9 weeks. We give out prizes daily for those students. We draw names per team, and they can get candy, or it might be some type of coupon, or it could be a cinch bag, earbuds, just they get to pick different days, different things. Also, we've had where the snow cone vendor comes, and if you have a star card, then you're able to purchase a snow cone at lunch, and they really like that. And if you get, it also has to do with grades and behavior. And you think sometimes that the kids are like, oh, star card, it's not really a big deal. But then if you forget that you didn't hand out the new star cards, then they're really anxious to tell you that. Or if they didn't have one but they earned it back, they keep track of that. So they seem to really like that as well. At each of the pep rallies or the assemblies that we have at the end of the 9 weeks, Mr. Rager and Mr. Devine always recognize a star teacher, and that's someone who's been nominated by other teachers, students, based on recommendations that they turn in. And then we do Student of the Month, and that is not always based on an all-A student. It may be a student who has really improved, and whether that improvement is from D's to C's or whether that improvement's behavior, just somebody that we really feel deserves to be recognized and would be grateful for being recognized for their accomplishments and for their manners and their things that they've done to improve their overall self. And so that's...
and that helps in the newspaper you all put into parents and the local community, looking at it. It's a good thing.
Our webpage that we have, and we also have a Facebook page, it's been very positive responses from the community on that. It's a great way that we can communicate. If someone has a question, we have, they can just ask and we can answer. I was a little leery at first about having that, but we've not had any negative comments on there that I've seen. And then on our webpage, we've really improved that as far as putting forms and things like field trip forms on there where they can go ahead and download it if they lose it, or we try to keep that updated with Student of the Months and just to let people know what's going on at our school. So.
Ms. Polk, do you have anything you want to add?
I do. I have something I would like to add on speaking on website and stuff. A lot of my son's teacher uses the Remind also app, which is a lifesaver because sometimes I get so busy I forget things, but I'll see that little message. Okay, I can go back and look at it and say, okay, this is what's going on, or he has a test tomorrow, so that helps me communicate with him because sometimes having a son, he don't always tell me everything, so I can say,
Or anything at all.
so I can say, hey, you have a test now.
Basically like
Do we
dojo.
need to do something to
It's just like a dojo.
Yeah.
Same like a dojo. Yeah.
So,
I think he doesn't want me to know that.
I know, that's what I decided to. Yeah.
I may show up to something he doesn't want.
That's what they're scared of.
Yes.
Okay. We followed along with the district initiative of working on our soft skills, and then in the days of social media, I think this is skills that sometimes we take for granted that the students ought to know how to speak in public, how to shake hands, how to just proper communication, and so we really worked on that as a school through interview skills, giving them the opportunity to speak in public. I know I sponsor the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and this year I've seen more students willing to speak in the mornings, and that way I haven't had to bring in an outside guest, that they're comfortable speaking in public in front of their peers, and I think that's a result of how we've worked on the soft skills. They have an opportunity to interact with the public. The 7th grade does the reality store, 8th grade does operation preparation, and junior achievement. So they're getting to know the people from the community and how to interact with them. And I think the soft skills have been great as far as preparing them for their future, whether it's college or employment. So I think the working on the soft skills has been a big benefit.
The science fair was awesome. That's one of the
STEM fair.
Yeah, the STEM fair. It's about the soft skill piece. Beside what they done was awesome, but how they were ready. Every one of them on their booth. Let me talk. It was good to see that.
So I definitely think it's been a good thing.
You want to talk about our school visits that we went on?
Sure. I am a 7th grade math teacher, and our focus is kind of on math scores just due to they have been lower, but we are on the rise. So we visited 2 different schools. We visited Henderson South Middle and Muhlenberg South Middle, looking at block scheduling as to whether that was something we wanted to go to, and we felt as a school, as a staff, that we had probably reached our potential, and that we did need to go to block scheduling just to allow extra time in math and language arts to help our scores. That we really were doing everything that they were doing, we just did not have that extra 45 minutes to an hour that they were having in math and language arts. And when you double your time,
It helps.
I think we're going to see that increase. They also had Chromebooks at Henderson South Middle, every middle school student, which that's what they used, and they were really positive and thought that worked, and that's kind of something we're looking at. We do have a laptop cart for every team in our building right now. So that does help. A lot of teachers do Google Classroom. I know Ms. Harris does, and some of the newer ones are really going to that. So that's something we're looking at. And then also they have advanced classes, which is something I know as a district we're kind of looking at maybe offering algebra, or at least pre-algebra in the 8th grade, so you have a little bit of different curriculum happening. But I think that the schedule change to blocking for us will be positive. Like South Middle, they already do that. So they've been a good example to follow with the block scheduling.
So that'll be next semester then?
Next year, yes, we will start in August.
And you've met some, I think, with South Middle, some math teachers and language arts as well, correct?
Yes, we've met the language arts teachers. Our language arts teachers in South Middles met as a PLC together, and it kind of started out awkward, but then, by the time we were at the end, we need to meet again. And then I'm getting that they're actually communicating, during the school year back and forth or whatever, and it was so successful. Then we also met with the math teachers, and like I said, and those relationships has really helped in our transition meetings that we've been having, because we've been having the 8th grade teachers come together with the East Campus math teachers, and like I said, the middle school teachers are kind of getting to know each other a whole lot better, and then they feel comfortable in that setting. One thing that we learned at the Henderson South visit was that with the advanced classes, they actually had like a high school teacher coming to both middle schools and providing that algebra instruction. So that way you don't have you kind of eliminate is that person qualified? Well, you're not high school certified, you're not, whatever. There was a high school teacher that was coming to, same teacher was teaching at Henderson South, Henderson North, and the high school. So they're all getting the same thing. So I really like that. And of course, that's personnel, that's money, but still, they have a whole lot more resources. I do realize that. I did inquire about the grant that they had for the Chromebooks 1-to-1, and like they kept telling us, this didn't happen overnight, or whatever, but I've not really heard back from I had a conversation with the technology coordinator once, and like I said, I've not really followed through on that. That's something I've made a note of to try to get back in touch with them, and they're more than willing to kind of share the information and walk us through on kind of what they did. So, but anyway, they were very accommodating here in South Middle.
What's the cost if you're talking about Chromebooks for each student?
Oh my goodness.
I don't know.
Probably at, you're talking 225 times 560 students. So, math teachers. So, when you
rounds to a lot.
Right. And if you're looking at both middle schools, you're looking at over 1,000, over 200 per. So, $225,000, $250,000 probably just for the middle schools. and I know that some schools have cycled through where they started in the 8th grade, then 7th grade to 6th grade, or reverse. I've seen some where they started in the 6th grade and they just kept it up through the 7th grade and then a 3-year plan on that. Whenever I chose Henderson South Middle, I looked at all the test scores and I kind of eliminated the schools that were east of Elizabethtown, because I don't really figure that in Lexington and Louisville we're comparing apples to apples.
Right.
So anyway, Henderson South stood out to me and South Warren stood out to me. They have it going on, both areas. So I didn't really think that South Warren was the exact demographics, and plus it was a little further, so we went to Henderson South, and their language arts and their math scores were probably top 10 and 20 across the board in the state. And, I've been to Henderson. I know, I'm like, if they can do it there, we can do it here. So, now their schedule, I don't want to go their schedule because it's color-coded and it's more than primary colors. It has three shades of yellow. You can ask the teachers. We're not going to that schedule because, if you're colorblind, you can't even use it. So I'm just telling you. But anyway, they were very accommodating there as well. So we had a really good visit, and we've pretty much site-based approved our new schedule that's blocking, and the only decision that we really have to make next is that it's collectively as a group to decide if we're going to block Henderson South split blocks, such as they would have the group first period and then they would have the same group back fourth period. Henderson South Middle, Muhlenberg South Middle does back-to-back. So, and they both like it, so we just got to kind of figure out what's going to work best for us moving forward. So we had good visits. We enjoyed that. Anybody else want to add anything to that? All right. Ms. Markwell.
Ready for me?
Yeah.
You took most of mine.
I'm sorry. Sorry, I stole your thunder, Ms. Markwell.
Of course, as Mr. Rager said, we're still trying to decide on whether to block the English or separate them in the morning and afternoon. We're kind of leaving that up to the teachers. The majority rules, so whatever the English teachers and the math teachers decide, that's what we'll go with. My personal opinion, middle school kids need a break. I think classes mainly will be 43 minutes apiece. So you're talking about an 86-minute class if we do block to block. Otherwise, the English teacher is going to get the kids in the morning and then the same kids in the afternoon. Kind of break it up, especially with English, because you can have reading and then you can have writing afternoon. So that would definitely be good. Also, we're planning on having 2 practical arts classes for each student next year. One in the morning, one in the afternoon. In the past, our 6th grade students, if they took band, they were in band all year and never had an opportunity to take PE or art or computers. But next year we're planning on, even if a child has band, they'll actually have a practical arts class in the afternoon, so that will be helpful. One of our practical arts classes that we're planning on offering next year is the STEM class, where we can focus on science and math for all 3 grade levels. We'll actually have the STEM fair next year that Mr. Johar talked about for all 3 grade levels instead of just 8th grade. So that will be helpful. Also, we're going to be offering a career readiness class to focus on soft skills for all 3 grade levels and also career readiness. We'll continue with the enrichment class that we've had in the past. However, it's going to be 30 minutes class, and it will be in the middle of the day. And everybody in the building will have students during that time to focus on a certain area. For example, if a student is struggling in math or reading, if they're 2 grade levels below where they need to be, then they'll be with an English teacher or a math teacher, depending on what area that they're weakest in. Also, during that time, we'll be offering an advanced art class for students that really are interested in art, and also STLP and yearbook, and also jazz band. And that's something that we haven't had in the past. And all the other kids that don't want any of those classes, then they're going to be reading. We're going to be focused on reading the whole school. We'll still continue a tutoring program every morning from 8 to 8:30. Any students that are struggling can go into the classroom, sign their name, and get help in whatever area that they want help in. And I think that's it.
And you're pretty active with mentoring as well.
Oh,
right?
the mentoring is, yes. The mentoring has been great. I did get a message, I think it was last week, that all the mentors wanted to come back for next year. So that's a good sign that the kids were really receptive to the mentoring. So every mentor that we have wants to come back and mentor again. So that's a good thing.
Excellent.
All I can say is wow. I mean, you all are drilling down every area on here. I was just fascinated by the test scores and how you were drilling down individual students, but you're doing it in every area. So kudos to all of you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great team.
They'll be all ready to go to high school.
Should.
Except for the parents.
Yeah.
Or maybe one up here, I don't know.
Same here.
I have a few comments,
Yes.
if you would let me. First of all, being a new board member, it's so wonderful to get to see the schools come and tell us what you're doing, because it's so hard to know what's going on in your schools and to keep up with everything and to read every email, because we get a lot of emails, but nothing like this man gets. But it's good to hear from you all and the parents, the teachers, and the administrators what's happening. Officer Mefford, thank you for being there, for walking around and making sure everything's safe, because those kids are seeing you do that, and that's just reinforcing that feeling of safety in the school. The teachers, I know, appreciate it, because I've been there. I'm not really sure what's going to happen today, and then having an officer in the school, I know it means a lot to the parents, the teachers, and to all of us to have you there. Thank you. Thank you for your service. Also, the grade groups, I love the cheering and doing that, because some kids don't belong to any group, but they belong to that cohesive group of students in their school. So thank you for doing that as well. And getting junior high students to speak with the soft skills, getting them to speak at all sometimes, except Miss Addie back there, is sometimes hard to do, but I think it's great that you all are working on the soft skills. I'm a big fan of that. Thank you, Mr. Davis, for being so behind that. All around, very impressed. Thank you for the enrichment classes for the students and letting them choose that. It's a big deal.
Yeah, I know I've said this with other schools as well, but it's just true from my heart. There's just a good feel there. It's just, you go in and it's just a good feel, you know. And it's nice, it's, you know, for me, you know, that's kind of going home a little bit, but even so, you know, just seeing the kids interact, you know, that's kind of the norm with our schools, and you know, but I definitely see that there. There's, you know, they care about their kids, kids care about each other, and
a lot of positive.
It's a good place.
A lot of positive about North Middle.
Mr. Davis likes to come because he feels like a rock star. He's at South Middle, they're like, who's that guy? When he comes in, the kids push me aside. Mr. Davis is here, Mr. Davis is here. You know, they don't even recognize me anymore. So whenever he needs to pick me up, what I kind of accuse him as, he'll come on North Middle, I think, and then it kind of picks him up.
Yeah.
It bothers him when the teachers do that, though.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to commend all of you for the job you're doing, because every kid's not the same. No matter where you go, what school you go in, they're all not the same. And not every kid's going to go to college. A lot of kids are going to go to work at McDonald's and work their way up. You know, I have a good friend that worked at McDonald's for years, and when he left there, he was a district manager. And now he owns a huge farm, raises chickens for a living, does a good job, makes good money. Brock knows who I'm talking about. But I watched Brock grow up. He's a great guy. He'll be great with the kids. He's got a wonderful mom and dad, super people. I commend all of you for the job you're doing. I appreciate you.
Yes.
Jessica and I have been friends since she was a little girl too.
Well, I want to thank you all for your service on behalf of North Middle, because, you know, I have friends that teach in other districts, and they do not have the support from the board like we do here. I mean, it's from the top down. Yeah, I mean, and I mean it, because it's not, and especially if anybody's ever worked in any other district, it's not like this in other places. And I do commend you all for always supporting us in anything that
We're learning learning our soft skills too. That's why. Thank you for coming. Thank you all. Thank you for coming. Okay.
Welcome, Central City.
We are ready.
Go for
Can
it.
you introduce everyone?
Sure.
This is Michelle Sparks, Assistant Principal.
Hello.
Brittany Hatfield, 5th grade teacher. Stacy Christensen, PE teacher. Michelle Arnold, librarian. And Rhonda Strader, parent. Two of my parents are working tonight, so.
Who are the other parents, Mr.?
Crystal Woodruff.
Yeah.
And Rollins Terrell. He's my minority member.
Crystal took my position, spot, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. She's still there?
Yes.
Good.
Yes. We'll just go ahead and get started. So I'll have you a handout and we'll just go down through it. If you have any questions, feel free to stop us. And any of you all that want to jump in, go ahead. We'll start with test scores. We are very excited because we made other. So we are very excited about that. Our proficiency indicator is 73.1. It comes from our reading and math scores. Our separate academic indicator comes from science, social studies, and on demand. It was 66.5. Growth indicator was 16.8. So a couple of things that we were really proud of is that we are above the state average with our proficiency indicator. The state average was 70.5. And our separate academic indicator, which was 66.5, and the average was 64.8. We were 0.3 below the state average in our growth, so we definitely need to work on that. But we are extremely excited about our writing. We have been really focused on writing scores the last few years, and we continue to make significant gains. We went up 9.4 points, and we are 7 points above the state average.
Awesome.
And I give a lot of credit to Ms. Hatfield for that. She has really reluctantly taken that on and has made significant gains. And we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. But very proud of her and the kids. They have really worked hard. So, of course, we're not happy with those. We want those to continue to go up. So the improvements that we've been working on and focusing on this year is last year and the year before. It was a Band-Aid approach, and we knew that, but we knew our writing scores needed to be helped, and 5th grade is where those scores come from. So we took our special teachers and we put them in 5th grade writing to help conference with students, to help with instruction, to really do a collaborative method. And they really focused with those 5th grade students. Now, we knew that was a Band-Aid approach. We needed to make improvements primary up, but we needed to make improvements immediately. So that was our focus. This year we have broadened that a little bit, and we created a time during the day, a primary writing block time during the day that is dedicated to writing, and we have manipulated our schedule so that our special teachers go in to our 1st grade and 2nd grade classrooms to help with writing and bring that knowledge that they learned in helping with 5th grade and working with Ms. Hatfield, and to bring that down to primary. Writing is, for most teachers, is their least favorite, and it's the most time-consuming thing to teach, because when children are writing, you almost need a conference one-on-one, and that just takes time. And so having an extra set of hands in there really seems to help, and they trade off how they do it. They might be co-teaching, they might be pulling students and helping them individually, and conferencing. So we're hoping that that will make long-term gains as we continue to move those kids up toward 5th grade. We continued our fall and spring scrimmage testing and continued school-wide scoring and analysis of our 5th grade fall and spring scrimmage testing. We do that school-wide. We have all teachers scoring those 5th grade writings, because if you're teaching 1st grade, it's hard to know what's expected of those 5th graders. So we want them to see what the expectations are and what we need to move our kids forward to. We implemented a daily readiness schedule with special teachers, and I'm going to let Michelle talk about that.
because of our enrollment, we were able to have 1 day a week for each of the specialist teachers to go into all grade levels. So my schedule would follow the same as the special schedule, but I would be going into a classroom or pulling kids out. And so it was whatever that teacher felt like the kids needed at the time. In kindergarten, we might pull a small group of kids to work on those basic readiness skills or even social skills. Kindergarten had each of us doing a different thing each time we saw the kids. So they got either math, reading, or social skills for them. First grade and second grade had us working a lot on just those fry words or sight words that they need to know, to try to keep moving them up to increasing that vocabulary. Then third and fourth and fifth, a lot of that was sometimes focused on math or writing, especially in the fifth grade level. And so that was just a way that we could use that day, because we've seen our kids, 3 days that week. So that was a way for us to use that day to give a little extra help to the teachers to help the kids in whatever area they needed.
That's awesome.
Next thing on the list is to implement a readiness benchmark binders for grades K through 4, and ask Michelle to talk about those.
Those are sort of like an additional data notebook, and what we do is we put down the things where the students would need to be successful in the next grade. So the goal the whole year is to reach the beginning of the next grade. And it's kind of an eye-opener for the parents. It's kind of a mindset shift is what Ms. Higgs calls it. Because rather than how's my kid doing, well, this is where they need to be by the end of the year. And they check that 3 times a year. It's in math, it's in reading, we use Ames Web scores, we use MAP scores, fry words for the younger ones. So they've all got goals in each of those areas.
We continue to work with our KD novice reduction coach, Janora Anderson. We kind of stumbled on her by accident, and we latched on to her very quickly. She's a direct contact to us from KDE, and then I shared that information with Stacy, and she snatched her too. So I'm really upset with Greenville. I've encouraged all of our principals to take advantage because she is a wealth of knowledge, and she stays on top of it. And she is a funny lady. She's one of these people who can tell it like it is, but in a humorous way, and people don't take offense to it.
She's my role model.
I love her.
She learned from you, or you learning from her? Let's talk. I think she learned from you.
No, before anybody else does.
Will she come in and just work with teachers individually? Or?
She will. She has done that. She's worked in faculty meetings. She's working with our PLCs. Sometimes she'll just drop in and say, listen, this is what's coming up. I just want to give y'all a heads up.
Oh, awesome.
And we call her and text her quite often. So she's just a wealth of knowledge and is willing to roll up her sleeves and get in there if she needs to. And she's just awesome. So we have our PLCs up and going. We had started those a few years ago, wasn't happy with the progress that was being made, so Janora is one of them that's kind of helped get us focused on that, and we kind of redid those and helped us become more data focused, especially in the areas of reading and math. So we have a PLC coming up later this week, and we'll be looking at math test scores for the spring. Hopefully we'll have them all finished before our PLC on Thursday. We have a few stragglers that we need to get tested. So then we look at that data, and we try to do a lot of name and claim. These are the kids who are doing well, let's celebrate that. These are the kids that are not doing as well as we want them to do. Now, what's our plan for improving those? And we have gone to where I asked teachers to pick a student in reading and a student in math, and not only just to name and claim those, but write a specific plan of improvement for those students. And so we will be talking about that on Thursday, see where we are. This year we did a book study all year. It's a rather hefty book. We just finished up for Kagan Win-Win Discipline. You probably heard of Kagan. Lots of strategies that encourages student engagement. Students need to be engaged in the classroom, not just sit and get. But this is also focused on discipline, and it helps teachers to look at the root of the discipline. Why is that child acting the way they are? What's the root of the problem? And then gives you strategies on how to deal with that or to curb that. So it's been very good, and it takes into consideration our children with special needs as well. Classroom instruction, we've encouraged our teachers to include the 5 essential phases for direct explicit instruction in their lesson planning, to be intentional about that. And so we're still pushing for that, because you can have the most wonderful lesson plan, but when you get up and start teaching, my fault in the classroom is I always wanted to push a little more content and didn't always close the lesson up. That was my weakness, because I thought, oh, I got 2 more minutes, we can cover this. And but a lot of that is you're learning how important that closure is. And so in our lesson plans, we ask teachers to make sure they include those 5 areas in their lesson planning, and we have that in our template that they fill out. For science, and I know you probably have heard this, but we have more to teach than we can possibly teach, especially when you have the implementation of RTI. So science seems to be the subject that kind of, I just ran out of time today. So we're trying to get smarter with that, and some of the areas that we've worked on to increase our science content is mystery science, picture perfect science. We did in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade the Pearson Pilot Elevate Science. We recently purchased the Scholastic Text Sets and the Standards Up Close in Science. And what those are leveled readers sets in science and social studies. So we're trying to work smarter, and that's not a term I really like to hear, but it's hard to find a dedicated time to teach science, so we're trying to incorporate more of that in our reading, and we can do that through our leveled readers. And the students seem to like them. They seem to be engaging. Those just came in about March, so we've asked teachers to experiment with those, and then we'll be more intentional about utilizing those next school year. Recently purchased additional Chromebooks to increase our student access to technology. We did go on a school visit this year to Heath Elementary School in Paducah, and our two big takeaways when we went, we were really looking at their RTI program. They do have a very successful RTI program in their building, but they too run out of time to do RTI, because if you have children that's in there for reading and writing and math and behavior, that's 2 hours a day that they need to be getting those services. There's not 2 hours a day to give up on content. And if a classroom teacher is having to deliver that RTI service, then they can't be teaching content at the same time to the rest of the class. So it's a big trade-off in trying to manage that. So we got some ideas from them. Their program's not perfect. They too it's a balancing act. So sometimes it's just nice to hear that other people are struggling too.
Yes.
They also have what they had free libraries, and Ms. Sparks had seen this another location before, and we did come back on our snow days and we implemented our free libraries.
What does that mean?
That is actually a guttering system that we put in the hallways. We have 4 of them, and you take gently used books. Parents can donate books that they no longer want or their students have outgrown, and they're free libraries. They don't check those books out. They don't have to return them, but the goal is you take the book, you take it home and read it, and then you return it for someone else to use. Right. But we don't keep up with it. If they never come back, then that just means there's more reading materials in that home.
Yes.
And so that will be in addition to the library materials that we offer for students as well. And it's kind of a novelty because they're right there visible, and the kids can go walk by and pick them up and take them. So far we haven't had trouble keeping those replenished. So
Good.
Soft skills. We'll move on to soft skills. Of course, that is a focus district-wide. We started a few years ago, probably 3-4 years ago maybe, a school-wide jobs program, and these are school-wide jobs, and we try to give them a little bit of a nautical theme to them, like the person who has the school announcements in the morning and does the pledge and things with me is the tide crier. We have the blacksmith swabby who helps the custodians go around and get the black marks out of the hallway. And they all kind of have nautical themes. But we have an application program for that. And the students have to fill out an application. And we are pretty tough on that. First they have to fill out the whole application. Now it's not real lengthy, it's one page. But if they just write their first name, we reject it because it's not a complete application.
Right, it has 3 different, why you'll be good at it.
There's 2 questions on there they have to answer, and for students whose application was rejected, Ms. Sparks write on there why, and we ask the homeroom teachers when they hand them back to go over that with the students and tell them they can reapply next time with a completed application. So I'm going to let Stacy talk about that. Hers is a very popular job.
I have the ABS crew, and I have usually 3 to 4 workers, and she will bring me a stack that are done correctly, and then I narrow that stack down. And my workers have a very important job because most mornings you have bus duty till 7:25, and I have class at 7:35, or 7:45. I am notorious for getting 60 pieces of equipment out. Well, you can't do that in 10 minutes and be one person and not be exhausted, and I need to take a nap before the school day's even started. So my crew members, they really have a lot to do. I will leave a detailed plan, especially if I have a substitute, and I can count on my workers to come get my gym key. They unlock the storage room door. They go in. They don't touch the bow and arrows, but they get everything out they're supposed to. They'll set it up most of the time per my specifications, and they'll clean things up for me. And Wednesdays and Thursdays are cleanup days. They'll go in and they'll organize in the storage room. They'll sweep off the stage. I count very, very heavily on my workers to have that gym ready for me when I walk in that door. It's a big burden lifted off me, and it helps me start fresh and ready. And I really look for very responsible students that I know will do a good job, and they know that I appreciate it. I thank them often, and I think it's a great program for teaching responsibility, especially the job applications. I mean, the ones I get are usually very good, and then I really have to be picky to narrow it down to pick my 3 or 4 kids that are going to do my job. But it's definitely, I think, a great program for the kids.
How often do you change up students that are doing?
Every month.
Every month.
It's got like 15 duties different?
Yeah, we have like Car Rider Pro, the kids that helped us, they're called the Safety Patrol Crew.
Yeah.
They help the kids in the car.
Then the male person?
Open their doors and close their doors.
Then you got a male person?
The stowers that help Miss Marilyn with the food bags.
Yeah,
They go home
on
and back
Fridays.
program. They're called the Bounty bestowers.
We have 2 students who give out hand sanitizer in the morning, one stationed at the bus door, one stationed at the car rider door.
Car rider openers, we have students that go out.
Then you have a male person?
We have so there's several. Yeah. Lunch trays, that's another popular one. They want to be able to
lunch trays.
Galley-ware trays.
like the lunch trays or help the custodians with those.
We have people that go in and turn on all the computers in the labs. They're called the lab riggers. So everything has, because we're the tide and nautical things.
Yeah. I love them jackets they put on.
Oh, the vest. He has
The
vests.
vest,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
They think it's so important, the students of bus duty, you know? And car riders,
Yeah.
Awesome.
We work a lot on greeting, the proper way to greet a person. Still working on some of them, but a lot of them have come a long way. If we greet them when they come off the bus or come in the door, they're coming down the hall, to make those handshakes and eye contact and to say good morning and to speak up and be audible. We do a lot, so all the teachers do classroom instruction on that. But what has been the most precious thing to watch is our Head Start students, because they started that program in Head Start, and each day they have a different greeter, and the greeter stands at the door after breakfast, they go to the classroom, and And the greeter gets to decide if they're going to do a fist bump, a hug, a handshake, or a high five. So we got 3-year-olds. Absolutely precious. And of course, sometimes, they want to do a hug, but the greeter chose the high five. So they have to do what the greeter chose. But it is absolutely precious to watch them. We did, and I am not a tech person when it comes to social media person. I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not on Facebook, but I reluctantly get okay for a school Facebook page because my problem is you can't control what other people put on there.
Sure.
And that's a concern of mine, and I'd hate for something to be put on there that reflects negatively on the school, but I was convinced to give it a try.
How is it working so far?
It's going well.
Everybody-
I forget about it.
She does.
I have to be reminded.
Is it positive?
I think everything's positive. Actually, with the help of Jarrett and our counselor, who is very tech savvy, and I and myself worked together to get that started because we wanted to make sure that it wasn't something anybody could just get on and post whatever they wanted, or we wanted to make it safe and responsible. But I think it's positive. We try to share any of the activities that we have coming up,
All the good news.
special events that we have, to share pictures and things like that's going on, but also to be careful, to make sure we're not sharing pictures of kids that we can't and things like that. But I think it's been a very positive way to communicate with our parents, and it's probably that, and another thing we're going to talk about is probably our 2 greatest ways outside of phone calls and things like that to communicate with parents, because they're on social media, all the time. So.
We still do, I utilize the school messenger a lot.
Yep.
We do notes home, we do monthly school calendars of events. Of course, the teachers do newsletters and notes home as well. But we'll talk more about other ways that we communicate.
I don't want to hear about Miss Hatfield's dojos on Eshan.
I sure bet you does.
You do one, Jay?
No.
He does.
She brought a print out of those. So we try hard to keep our parents informed, and we utilize our school sign, our electronic sign as well. Leadership Academy, this is for our students. We've had this 3 or 4 years. Mr. Allen helped us get that up and going a few years ago when he was our school resource officer for the elementary. And this is for mostly 4th and 5th grade boys, is who we focus it on. We also do a couple of 3rd grade kiddos, but it's for boys who just need that male mentor that they're lacking. They maybe have a few more behavioral referrals than we would like. Just kind of seem to be not making good choices, maybe with the friends they have, or are easily influenced, maybe in a negative way, by friends. And so when Mr. Robinson became our school resource officer, I asked him to pick that up and continue that, and he has been very faithful with that and doing a good job. He's worked a lot with our 5th graders on social media. So we have some very astute social media 5th graders that just start making good choices about what they post. So he has worked very diligently with trying to help them to understand that the rules change when they get to middle school, and they have to be very mindful of what they post. So, but he's also working on, and Mr. Allen did as well, words like respect, good character words, patience, how to speak up, how to address a problem as well.
I want to brag on your kids. When I'm in the building, talking about soft skills, they're friendly, and they look you in the eye, and, not every one of them, but as a rule, they do well, and they, good morning, good afternoon, smile, it's very welcoming. The kids are definitely soaking it up some, I can tell.
The biggest hurdle is when they're walking in the hall. If you say good morning, they're like, I'm not supposed to talk in the hall. Say the thing or not. But he works, and he comes every Tuesday morning, and he meets with those kids. And if he's not there for some reason or running late, they're wanting to know where they are. So. And for a lot of those children also, that puts a police officer in a little bit different role, because unfortunately some of them have already, their families have already had negative run-ins with law enforcement, and hopefully they'll see that they're not the bad guy. They really are there to help us. And he is great at lending a listening ear. So sometimes I have to go in there and tell him he's got to speed things up because they get to talking so much. Safety, I like to hit on safety. We do keep our exit doors locked at all times. When we first started that a few years ago, every once in a while you would find a rock in the door, but I don't think I found a rock in the door all year this year.
That's old style now.
Keeping classroom doors locked, I will tell you that is a challenge, simply because we have so many students that are in and out of classrooms to go to speech, or to go to specials, or to go to RTI, and of course, resource, and every time they come back to the classroom, that's a knock on the door. And just like as adults, you hear a knock at the door, that's where your attention goes. But most teachers have come up with they have a classroom jobs as well, and I didn't talk about the classroom jobs, but all of our classrooms, not only do we have the school-wide jobs, or our classroom jobs, so one of them is the door opener, and they go to let those people in as quietly and as few disruptions as possible. And we have talked to them about, you just don't open it for everybody. You have to look out the door and see who's there.
And they do. They do with me.
But we finally have convinced them that Mr. Davis really is a good guy.
Someone on the fence.
We do have key card readers on 2 of our entrances. We would really like to have more. And we do practice our safety drills regularly. I got fussed at the other day because we needed to do a lockdown drill and a fire drill, and teachers knew that we had not done our fire drill. So I thought we did a lockdown drill, and in the middle of the lockdown drill, we pulled the fire drill. Not one person moved. As soon as they were given the okay, everything was all right, they could resume activities, then I went and pulled the fire drill again. And they were like...
She was trying to trick us.
And we only had Miss Hatfield, who was not happy with her kids, and made them do it over. It was a little late getting out of the building, but we only had one student who refused to leave the second time because
he thought it was still part of it.
He still thought it is, and he had a sub that day. So, but I had another classroom, a first grade classroom, that had a sub in there as well, and a student teacher, and they knew exactly what to do. So the first time the fire drill was moved, they did not move. They told the teacher they were not going on. It was a trick, and they stayed put. And they knew exactly what to do. So the second time that it was pulled, they left the building. So the substitute teacher, who's a retired teacher and has taught for years, said, I looked at them and they told me exactly what to do.
Yes.
So they did a great job. That's awesome. We are trying to be more and more consistent every year with our procedures and practices with visitors into the building and student pickups. We take their license, take their keys when they come into the building. For our visitors, and of course, we're getting the Raptor system toward the end of the year, or maybe...
Yeah, they're working on that now. I don't know if we're going to get it by the end of the year, certainly by the first of next year.
A big thing that we've done this year is add the decorative perf on the outside of the front doors, and recently over spring break that we added it to the gym lobby and windows. So if you have not seen it, I suggest you go by because it turned out very nice. But also that provides security, because otherwise anybody could see into the building very easily. This way, if we're in the building, we can see out, but it makes it more difficult for people to see inside. We would like to add more of that. It is expensive, but we're trying to do a little bit at a time. We added a mirror at the end of our middle hall to illuminate blind spots, and I get tickled at the kids because now they all go by now and look in the mirror and wave at themselves. So we're in the process of color coding our hallways. All of our hallways are beige. And one thing that we came up with is, and we have them all named with street names, but when you come in and we realize that if there really truly was an active shooter in the building and you said that we're on Golden Tide Avenue, that's a long hallway. And we're on Golden Tide Avenue. So we used our kindergarten hall as our first hall that we did that my custodians painted over spring break. The top 2 rows, we have brick. The top 2 rows in the hallway, and the kindergarten hallway they painted green. We have green feet that goes from the car rider pickup to the kindergarten hallway, and that's how we train our kindergartners how to get into the building, to get to their classrooms the first of the year, so we chose green. So we'll be adding and color coding each of those hallways, which makes it very visible for first responders coming into the building. So hopefully over the next year we will have that completed. The Raptor system I've already mentioned. We've done Stop the Bleed training this year. We update our school safety plan every year. We had the panic button installed this year, and we practiced that monthly since we've had it installed. And we do have all of our classroom numbers posted on the inside of the rooms and the exterior windows.
Do you have a safety committee?
We do not per se have a safety committee. It's kind of embedded into some other committees.
Okay, so you all talk about that.
And then every year at the beginning of the year, we go over our safety plan and the roles and responsibilities for that. So hopefully we'll be adding to the reunification part of it. That's kind of the area of weakness for our district as a whole, is what to do after the emergency and how to get kids safely reunited with their parents. On the back of your sheet, you'll see culture. The last 2 years, I think we have done home visits in the summer right before school starts. We plan to continue those. That's been very positive. The hardest part is catching parents at home. But when we go, we leave a small gift. One year we left the bracelets. Last year we left a Golden Tide pencil pouch with each student that then they could use for part of their school supplies. And the kids, it's so funny to see them because, of course, a lot of them think that we still live at school and we never leave. So to see us out and about, they're like, and some of them don't want to talk, and they all of a sudden get very bashful, and then you have those who want, come on in, let me show you my room, and let me show you So it's kind of funny to see the different reactions of the students. But we divide all the student body up, and all of our teachers participate, and so we've had a good response with that. But hopefully we're trying to make those connections with those parents. Unfortunately, a lot of our parents of our students did not have a positive school experience when they were going through school and are intimidated by coming into the school building, or they want to associate with something bad because they've been in trouble. So we're trying to squelch that. We do weekly great news emails that teachers submit. I try to send a reminder out each week, and then it can be something as small as Johnny leveled up a level in Lexia, and I think I try to send those out to you all weekly, and they vary from week to week what they contain. But it's another way of letting the kids hear their name on the announcements when they're doing something, and it doesn't cost anything, but they get a big kick out of that. We do the monthly student recognition assemblies, and that includes we try to promote attendance with our traveling attendance banner that goes month to month. We have our golden awards for our specials and cafeteria behavior. We do have a hero student of the month per classroom, 102% awards per classroom, and citizenship awards per classroom. We do math medals, and each grade level has their own criteria for earning those math medals. And then each 9 weeks we recognize our A and B honor roll students. We recognize those kids that are moving up in Lexia and Reading Plus, and Study Island, who complete a subject area in their grade level in Study Island successfully. And then we throw in other things as needed throughout the year for their accomplishments. I ask the teachers to send home 2 good news postcards a week or at least a month to recognize students for their behavior. Most of them send more than that, but the kids enjoy getting something in the mail that's personal to them. And then at our student recognition assemblies, we put a copy of those in a basket and we randomly draw out kids' names. And they get to do usually something extra, play a game with the faculty and staff at the assembly if we have time, or they get a free snack or a candy bar or something to recognize those efforts. We use the school messenger and the Facebook page and the monthly calendars and our school website for communication. And Class Dojo is what Michelle alluded to the other day, or earlier, so I'll let her tell you about Class Dojo.
Class Dojo is another communication tool that we have. It's also a behavior management tool because each kid has an icon with their name in each classroom, and the teachers create positives and negatives that they can earn dojos or lose dojos. And each classroom teacher has that in her for her class, and then it can also carry over into all the other places they go, especially the specials classes. So we have access to that. We can dojo up or dojo down when they're with us. And it's also a way that you can send just individual messages to parents or group messages. You can post pictures of activities in your classroom. There's also like classroom management tools like a timer, music that you can play, you can create groups. That's how I do my tables. I just go in a dojo and click group maker and however many I need in each group, and then that's my table. Of course, I have to rearrange that sometime.
Parents like it, don't they?
But I think parents love it. It's a great communication tool. It was a way that I got pictures for yearbook because they could just send it right through that way. So it's a really positive thing in our school for communication and classroom management.
And then we can run reports for each classroom on how many contacts were made. We could do school-wide reports too. We have family nights. We have parent-teacher conference nights and data nights throughout the year. We have 4 fairs a year. We're getting ready to have our career fair tomorrow. So let Stacy and Michelle, they're heavily involved in those. So let them tell you about those.
Health fair is our first one every year. We had 21 booths this year, ranging from people giving fitness tips to smoking demonstrations for lungs. We had that this year. It's really neat. Never enough time. We could take all day with them. The kids love them. They listen very well. They take in a lot of content, and it helps me get grant money. I get about $1,500 a year from the Delta Wellness Project, and completing the health fair and health minutes monthly is one of the components for receiving that money. And this year, it also gave our Family Resource Center $650. So, and we had multicultural fair this year. Was great. The kids decorated the hallways. It was fantastic, and they presented about their country, and the school walked around and.
So it was kind of like we were traveling to the countries because we walked around the hallways.
That was cool.
That was one of our favorites too. And tomorrow night's career fair, and this is the first year we've gone digital. So the students have prepared their career materials. Each one has a career board they presented that they've made online.
They use Discovery Education to create the board.
And they will actually present digitally this year, so that's going to be pretty neat.
Is this a high school or elementary school?
Fifth graders.
Okay, just double
We have high
check.
standards. Extremely.
Career fair anyway.
For fifth grade.
Our art fair is usually where, sometimes it might be a theme, like this year we themed it with the dinosaur book fair, and so they all did dino art, and it was displayed in the hallways, and we gave ribbons like first, second, and third. And some of those pieces actually went on to Thistle Cottage, and her son actually was at second place for the fifth grade do masks. And so her son, Nate, won second place at the Thistle Cottage.
Awesome.
We also, in conjunction with the health fair, we do a run. We've done a bubble run, a color run.
This year we did an obstacle run, and the kids loved it. So we try to do that every year too. Not that they run the entire time, but they really give it a good try.
Student plays. Student plays. Every grade level does a student play. We get ready to do
third grade, lights, camera, action.
Fourth and fifth 5th always does Christmas. Sometimes 4th does like just choral performance, and the 5th grade does the major play. This year, 4th and 5th did a combined play, so we could have a bigger chorus.
And it was excellent. Went we're very proud of our plays.
And for our 1st and 2nd, we've sort of gotten into a habit now of them doing Veterans Day program, and then kindergarten will do a graduation or celebration program at the end of the year.
We have monthly college days where we ask the faculty and staff and students to join in to wear their favorite college attire to help get those college names out there. We have our hallways decorated with banners from all the colleges. So just that visual reminder that while college may not be a goal for everybody, we want them to know that it could be. Because that's also an option for later on. We try to include our community and utilize our community, which is very supportive of what we do, not only through our fairs, especially through our health fair and our career fairs, because we have, I think, 19 different careers going to be represented from the community tomorrow morning at our career fairs. And the kids will rotate through those. But we utilize Rotary Reads. We have Muhlenberg mentors. We use mentors from Impact Mentoring, which is Big Brothers Big Sisters. Our school happens to have the most students involved in that, so some of our students got to be in a bulletin, the billboard that's out by Walmart, and that is so we have 2 teams. It's going to be bowling Saturday, and our Bowling Pack a Child fundraiser. We utilize a lot of the programs through the Muhlenberg County Extension Office. We have our Confucius Classroom Grant, where we get the classroom or the Chinese teacher for free. And this is our 3rd year to have that. We do, on the announcements in the morning, I have a daily challenge that I give the students, and it might be something like pick up litter off the playground today, or thank your teacher for a job well done, or help your neighbor take their trash to the curb. But it's something different every day, just to challenge those. The other day it was let someone ahead of you in line. And it was funny all through the day. If I went out when I was in the hallways, I had lots of students who stopped and said, "You can get in front of me in line." I'm sure you saw it. We also do the joke of the day. The nice thing about that, I was really worried initially about coming up with the jokes for that, making sure they were clean. But I've had a lot of students who, they come and write their own jokes now, and they bring it. So we have our joke of the day.
They love puns.
They do love the puns. Our Delta Fitness grant, Stacy's already alluded to that, but we do have a Delta Project fitness playground that we utilize. Anything else you want to say about that, Stacy?
No, just that we've been very fortunate for the Delta Project. We get that every year, and it is, I have like my version of a C-STEP that I have to do online, and as Janet says, I've become very good at embellishing, because one of the requirements is you encourage your kids to walk or ride a bike to school. Well, if you know where our elementary school is, it's not safe, so there are ways that I have to tweak that, but it's a big document, and but it gets us $1,500 every year. In the last 2 years, I've got the additional money for the family resource, and our Project Fit Playground is wonderful, and if you ever get a chance to come out and take your kid up there, you can watch videos online. It is a heck of an upper body workout. It will really put you through it, and they still keep in, even though I'm through my 2 years of them assessing me, I still keep in contact. They give, if there's a PD close, they'll say, "Hey, do you want to go?" And usually Ann McGill and I will jump in the car and we will go. This is the first year they haven't had anything close, and she and I just emailed them last week and said, "Hey, we're missing Project Fit. We want more stuff." That's about it on the Delta. It's a great program.
Great suggestions on things that she can include in our lesson plans and activities in the gym. That one is they gave, what, 1,000 cups?
Project Fit, yeah, I've got 1,500 cups, and then I've got all kinds of ribbons and certificates and things for Kong kids and for accomplishing different tasks on the Project Fit playground. It's also been great. I'm working on my national boards this year, and it's really gave me some great information and helped me pull schedule some things to work on that. Y'all pray for me. I'd like to pass.
First time.
The first time. Yes, it's been very difficult.
But it's amazing, just with a cup, how motivated children are.
They'll do anything for a cup.
Yeah.
And you should see the towers. And this year they've really branched out, and I've gotten some round buildings. I've gotten, they've made a chair out of them. They've been very creative this year. They're expanding on their architectural skills.
Again, we try to utilize our community. For a lot of our students, they never leave Muhlenberg County, and so we try to bring the outside world in as much as we can, or to take them. So we have a real science program coming up in May. We have the Mobile Science Activity Center that was here in April. We had Norton's Children's Hospital Bike Safety Rodeo last week. We have Ag Day this Friday. We try to take advantage of the Martin Hall programs for our kids. We recently took those students who scored all proficient and distinguished last year as a reward trip to see the Bowling Green's Hot Rod and their Steam Day. And notice we did strategically time that to get them motivated for this year before we rewarded them. Kentucky Fish and Wildlife comes and talks to fourth grade monthly presentations. We've had the American Red Cross Pillowcase project, and we have a magician coming at the end of the school year. We utilize the Pennyroyal Mental Health in school counseling quite a bit. In fact, Mr. Monroe spends a full day each week at our school seeing students, and we could use him 2 days a week. We have that many people or have that many children that are receiving services from that program. So I would like to see that even expanded. We have a monthly calendar of events that's in our front hallway. The birthday buttons are new this year, so when a child, when it's their birthday, gets a button to wear, and everybody tries to look for those buttons and greet that student with happy birthday. We do classroom compliments charts. We have attendance ranking banner in the lunchroom, where each month we re-rank the school mascots in the order that they ended up at the elementary level. We just compete against the other elementary schools. And then each week, the classroom, the homeroom that had the best attendance the week before gets popcorn. We really work on our common area procedures. We do Bus Rider of the Week certificates. We do have a big volunteer program. Couldn't make it without our parent volunteers. And we do a quarterly breakfast with the principal. So all that is all student focused. For our faculty and staff for culture, this year and last year we have revisited our school visions and classroom visions. We have a Christmas dinner party and exchange gifts. We, the last 2 years, have done the One Word That Will Change Your Life book study and art activity, where each teacher comes up with their word for the year and posts that outside their door. We have a Woot Woot wagon that goes around, but the Woot Woot wagon's kind of fallen off the list a little bit. Our Woot Woot wagon, we randomly draw faculty and staff out, and they get a Coke and a candy bar, and we have nice go. We look like the solid go dancers.
Miss Hicks found for us to wear as we go around.
And we play music and give out the Woot Woot prizes. And then the kids all have to Woot Woot their teacher. We do weekly faculty and staff email recognitions to Mr. Davis, and I think he forwards a lot of those out to you all.
Yes, he does. Thank you.
Michelle talked about our Merry Christmas to Us, which sounds a little self-centered.
We eat a lot. It's been several years ago we started Merry Christmas to Us. So it was like a week-long group teachers into different groups, and it's a week-long potluck. Whatever, everybody comes up with a different theme or whatever, and so we don't have to worry about bringing lunch that week before Christmas. And then the monthly potlucks was started this year, I guess, or maybe we did it last year. And we just kind of planned that out at the beginning of the year of a theme for each one time of the month that we bring food and get to eat.
And it's amazing how the drug people show up, Merry Christmas to Us week, tech guys show up, copy shows up to work on our copier. The maintenance guys are showing up to the building.
Santa store helpers show up that week.
Sonic Ice?
Gotta have ice.
Or cups and paper napkins.
If you show up on time.
You know what that means. If they ask you to bring ice or paper napkins or utensils. You can't do it.
We do National Teacher Appreciation Week. Last year we did, each day the teachers got a little something. Each day with a business card saying that went along with that treat. And then they got...
Best was the chairs.
The chairs, folding chairs. This is interested elementary on it.
Bag chairs. And the blizzard. I mean, come on now.
I like the bag chair.
I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag what we're planning for this year yet, so I have to refer to last year. Just want to recognize Tara Gentry. She was one of only 12 Head Start teachers chosen in the state to work on the Conscious Discipline Leadership Team, and so we're very proud of her. We did start a monthly PBIS team, PBIS team this year that meets monthly and looks at discipline data, and we try to target those reoccurring visitors to the office and try to put supports in place to reduce that. In our events have decreased every year. Unfortunately, we do still have some repeat offenders, but overall they have come down each year. That's good. So, any questions about any of that?
That's a big draw.
Just our needs, just in case you're wondering.
Where's that at?
We would like to have more button releases on the front office entrance, because once they get in our front doors, they do have access to the office. Security camera, and I hear that Central City is next on the list for camera upgrades, which I'm really excited because our cameras are still the original cameras that was installed, and they're terrible. They're horrible.
Yeah.
Can't see anything. It's terrible.
Are they on the list now?
We are next on the list, so I'm excited. And a paved road. If you have any extra blacktop laying around, we could really use some blacktop on our car rider road. And I saw Jimmy Fleming in the parking lot today with orange paint, and I got so excited. I think we might get our parking lot resealed and striped.
It needs to be great.
Striped real bad. I've had twice this year, I've had to ask parents to move their cars because when they come in, they couldn't see the stripes and they end up parking in the aisles. So they've had to move their cars because you can't see them. And our gym floor is the oldest gym floor in the district. It really is in bad need to be repainted. I know that's a very expensive process, but all the other gym floors have been redone except ours.
All the poly's coming off in big, huge chunks. It looks pretty nasty.
Even though our custodians rebrass it every year, I think it's been 20 years since it's been repainted, roughly. Do y'all have any questions?
It's too much to digest here. Reading material for tonight.
Well, we could go on and on and on, but we have a lot going on and we keep stopping.
Thank you for serving on the side base. I know that's a bit thankless and all, but appreciate it.
Highly paid.
Highly paid, well compensated.
He just asked me for $100.
He did? Give it
So
to
we
him.
can buy those shoes.
Give it to him.
I said, no, like, I can't give you $100.
Oh my God, he was comparing, he wants to go yesterday and want to buy Yeezys because you have 3 of them.
I do not
I
have
said, don't
3.
compete with your teacher now, son.
She's obviously overpaid. Whatever you're paying
Yes,
her,
yes.
I'll need some more.
Yes, she don't deserve it.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much. Thank you, great job. Thank you.
All right, Bremen Elementary. Welcome.
I'd like to introduce my site-based staff, Carrie Atcher, parent, Katie Willis, special education teacher, Megan Brandon, kindergarten teacher. Hello. Amanda Robertson, second grade teacher, Lindsay Ward, parent, and Lori Sobers, is principal. I am Mr. Sharp, I'm preaching today.
Are you going to stand?
Yeah, that's what.
I stood last time and nobody told me I didn't have to stand, and he just said it. Okay.
Right there, the podium there.
So So first let's start off talking a little about our K-Prep scores from last year. You've got a handout there. You turn to page 6. It's kind of got a graph there. We were the top school in the region, the Owensboro Messenger region for reading and social studies. That graph is a proficient and distinguished graph that shows the students in our school that are proficient, distinguished in reading, math, science, social studies, and writing. We were in the top 5% of the region for math. Reading and math and social scores showed improvement from last year, the first year. As you can see in math and social studies and reading, we saw some improvement. And then some areas that we're concerned with were writing and science, some room for growth. We had a really good class. I think it was Mr. Davis's last year. I had 80.6, really good writing scores, kind of went down quite a bit, so we kind of looked at some things, really working on those issues there. That's a really tough test. That's one of the tests that we know that it's a lot on them. They got a 30-minute and then an hour and a half test. So.
And as we talked before, the science was tricky for all of them. Basically, it wasn't going to be tested. And then, just go ahead now, and then all of a sudden, it counts. So that was tough statewide, but certainly on all of our schools.
And that graph shows you a 3-year trend line too. So I'll go on to soft skills. When Mr. Davis kind of talked to the principals about soft skills, I really felt like that was a major thing. I totally agree with him. I think kids need soft skills. I think they also need to learn some things also about what people don't see. Okay, so soft skills are what you see, but what you don't see is, the time you spend at school doing stuff, at home practicing, getting ready. Those are things people don't see. They just see the outside. And so we really focused in on Ron Clark's Essential 55. Ron Clark's a really famous educator who taught in a lot of inner cities, and he had 55 rules. As a school, we kind of went over, the teachers kind of went over, they go over a lot more than just, we really focused on the first 10. I'm not going to tell you all 10, but the first 3 are big. It's respond to others with yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir, with everything that you do. And then rule number 2 is make eye contact when you're speaking. And then 3 is a big thing, congratulate the winner, or when someone doesn't. So congratulations, Mr. Davis, on beating me on fantasy baseball last week. I won't hold that against you. Okay? Our SCLP students do every month they do a soft skills where a kid comes up in front of all 350 of us. The student talks about whether it's eye contact, whether it's one of these rules, but that's a big soft skill, speaking in front of all your peers and that many, and several parents. So then we do that. At Eagle Pride assemblies, sometimes I kind of have a spot in my where I get preachy a little bit. I do, but we do kind of talk about some of those things like the soft skills that I think that they don't hear enough of. Probably don't hear enough of at home as well. So, and then the staff, they're great models of soft skills with what they do, showing up on time, going the extra mile, just treating each child like their own. So they're showing the soft skills too every day. School visits on November.
Mr. Sharp, let me jump in and just say, I've said it with other schools too, but certainly when you're at Bremen, you see it. I mean, you see them in the hallway. They're smiling, they're friendly, they're welcoming, mannerly, the eye contact. You can definitely tell it's been talked about and modeled because that they do well with it.
I think one time, just the other day when the high school group came and did their presentation at school, and Miss Carla was like, so they've got some t-shirts for you, and you have to show them that you really want them. And the kids were sitting there like, so we stand up. I mean, they're so used to the expectations, when they have to be an audience, that they had to be told, stand up and cheer.
Well, was it Ag Day, just had Ag Day, and some of the high school kids, as I went around, they said, these kids have been so respectful and asking good questions and all, so, yeah.
That's awesome.
Very proud of them.
Our school visit was November 27th, 2018. Went to Rich Pond Elementary. It's a high-achieving school in Warren County, Kentucky. It's in rural Warren County, so it's a little bigger than us, our school. They had no problem with funds, but they used the funds well. They had a really good PTO, and they had lots of new ideas. We shared some information. I've got a map scoreboard that we made. It's basically a big poster board or big board that we put up close to the computer lab that has, we're going to put on there with painter's tape how much color-coded how many students are novice, but like a graph, like a bar graph. I forgot to take a picture of it today, but if you're ever in our building, you're more than welcome to come look at it. But we shared lots of information. The principal there was really good. I don't think anybody was on our site visit, but they're a little bit bigger than us. They had like 600 students, but we learned a lot from that school. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Stover. She's going to talk about data teams.
In RTI and all the interventions in a nutshell. We all think, and I definitely think that this part of the instruction, this part of our school is the foundation, or at least a major cornerstone of the success that we have at that school. It's because we have teachers and classified staff who really want to help the individual student. And it's not just, oh, we see they need help, it's data-based. So we look at any piece of data we can get. So all of those things that you fund for us, like MAP, Ames Web, those programs that you'll hear or see the bill go across, for your approval, that data really helps our teachers decide exactly what they need and how to help them. And that's the stepping stones that they need to make up for where they're lacking to be on grade level and to get them to the next grade and the next and be ready to be successful for K-Prep. And then feeling that success helps them to be encouraged for other success like soft skills. And, they have that internal integrity that they have of their success. And I think this part here is the cornerstone, and that's why. There's some numbers on the notes for you about how many we started out with, about how many we have right now. And one of the main notes that I want to show is the third bullet, where we have the tier 2 interventions, and there's 3 tiers. There's the classroom level where the teacher teaches all of the students, and then the students that need a little help are going to be in tier 2, and then the students, even with help, are still not making progress. We put them in tier 3, and they get intense interventions, either one-on-one or with another student with the same need. So that requires a lot of staff. So that's why we put that note on there. Please help to continue to fund the staff at any, possibility that you have to do that. I know your hands are tied on a lot of things, and there's a lot of things to think about, but this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where it helps the kids individually get what they need as a student getting an education.
And I will say, we use a lot of people. One of the major things that my special teachers, I have them, whenever they have a hole in their schedule, they're meeting with, and they're running groups too. But it's one of these things where we've got a great tier 1, that means, classroom instruction, and when they come up as a flag, they're not doing well in tier 1, we know we got to get them going in that. And it's tough knowing as a teacher, I know it is, it's tough letting them be in that and let them struggle, but they're struggling so we can get them help, hopefully get them back into tier 1. But that's, you can't, I'll never, ever believe in bigger class exercise is better. It's just not true. It's just like, when I played basketball, and I was not very good, he can tell you, okay? It would be better if the more coaches you had, you could help people with different things, okay? And, the RTI program is vital, that's what, that school visit, he told us specifically when he started at Richmond, their GAP scores were bad. When the GAP scores are bad, it's because the students who are in the GAP are the lower income kids, and they don't have the support that your non-GAP kids do, and that's why they're behind, and that's why the GAP scores are behind, because the RTI systems that work,
So we get creative any way we can, and there are the ESS funding. It's called it's a state grant fund, and it gets cut every year. That's one of the few things that didn't get cut. We lost PD, we lost textbook and all that, but we use that creatively as well to get staff members in to help with the numbers that we have. The only drawback is they're classified. That's all we can afford. We don't have the certified staff, to do the intense with those kind of numbers. So we are blessed with classified that can quote any of the policies, any of the rules. They research, they follow blogs, they spend lots of their own time and sadly money when we find out about it to get these kids where they need to be. So we're blessed with a strong classified person, really. That's all we have. And then we have a couple under them that follow right along and have really helped that program be sustainable, even with resources getting, our feet getting cut out from under us. It is definitely a cornerstone. So if you hear things like, the classified staff, we need another aide, we need another this or that, in our building, it's going to be for that reason, to reduce the size. And then Ms. Robertson is one of the classroom teachers that firsthand sees how this works and how it helps our students. And
from a teacher's perspective, it's very beneficial. A lot of your students feel kind of subconscious and they don't have that self-confidence because they know they're struggling. But when they're in a small group with other students that have the same problems or weaknesses, they meet their goal each week, or maybe they don't. They still, that's okay. I know what I need to do next time. And the self-confidence just really skyrockets. And then a lot of times, you have a lot of success, and it just completely changes those students, and they can come in and help other kids who have that as well. So it's not only just academic, self-confidence, it helps them as well too.
Move on to culture, okay? Our focus this year and last year was the Eagle Pride moment, and it's I like to call it when a teacher or a student exhibits high character or achievement in the classroom, staff members go on and they put it in a Google Doc, and you need to ask Mr. Davis what a Google Doc is.
I work with Mr. Sons.
It submits to me, but the teachers do that, and they also do it for other staff members, and then I compile it. I think I send it to all you guys every month, but I don't send it home because I'm worried about what, I don't want parents, but it's a great thing. I decided this year I'm going to print it out and have it laminated and put it in the library, but my big thing is we all have an important job, and everybody in the school has an important job, but we have to understand each job and that it makes the school successful, and that it's hard to, sometimes it's tough to say, well, is my job more important? But to make it successful, everybody's got to do their part. We kind of have a family approach to how we handle our day-to-day business, and sometimes families, and my door's open, and sometimes they come in and listen, you're doing something wrong, and I'll listen, and that's one of the things I try to always listen, and we work through things if we need to. but we celebrate. And I try not to take up their time when I don't feel like they need to. I know they've got families and they sacrifice a lot to be part of our school. So, but we do have a family approach to the way we handle our things, handle our business. The biggest thing for me is professionalism. It's so important to our school. And I think it's more than just dress. I think it's more about how you handle successes, failures. What does the professionalism require me to do for them? It requires me to do a lot. When I see something maybe I don't agree with, I need to go and think about it and look into it. There's times when Lori and I talk, or I'll talk with all these members, and they're like, maybe you need to think about it this way. And then sometimes I have to say, let's think about it a different way. But my big thing is we got to be. What does professionalism require each of us to do? And then again, it goes right back down to we have to do what's right by our kids and make sure that we're doing things we need to. So, and I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Brandon. She's going to give some comments about our.
If I may, I would like to discuss some culture that I feel we have at Bremen Elementary. When I think about the culture at Bremen, first word immediately is positivity. The reasons why I feel like this is, number one, we work together. We help each other. We lean on each other in times of need, whatever need that may be, personal or professional. We encourage our students daily. We supply each other with not only inspiring but authentic lesson plans that will meet all student needs with collaborating with one another, co-workers. We often, especially at the end of the year, exercise flexibility with one another, helping each other out, giving each other a break when needed. The number one thing is kindness is real at our school. And if you've ever been to our school, it's very evident that we are kind, starting with administration, cafeteria workers, custodians, bus drivers, and especially our students. Mainly, there's a lot of laughter shared at our school, and that's a big sign to me of positivity. These are a few reasons why I feel like Bremen Elementary provides a positive environment for all to experience growth. So to sum it up, I would refer to a quote, "Birds of a feather flock together," because this quote defines the school culture when you are a Bremen Eagle. Thank you.
Awesome job.
Probably got a lot better. You didn't say at the beginning. Probably got a lot better since Robbie left, hadn't he?
Usually laughter's in it.
No, it all have gone before you.
What, that really laughed? I thought he was their friend.
That's my end.
You're not riding any horses tonight, are you?
No horses. I was sore after that fight.
So was the
Safety. One of the things I never thought about when I was going to be a teacher was how safe a school would be. I know it's tough. I've got a little one. He's in second grade, and I worry about safety a lot too. And it's one of these things where we try to talk a lot to when I talk to parents that. Safety is something you really got to worry about, but I try to ease their mind, and that's the best I can do, is just ease their mind with what I'm doing. We put a new camera system in at the door where in previous, last year, my first year, you would just come in the door, and then he buzzed in the second door. This time you're buzzed in two doors, so they've got a camera looking at you, buzzed in, come in a vestibule there, and you buzzed in the second time. So it gives a little bit longer, a little bit more time to kind of look at some things like that. We added a panic button at the front desk, and luckily Tammy hadn't pushed it yet. Accidentally. Okay. One of the big things, I've been all over this fire marshal, or trying. He was early last year, and he was taking forever to get here. Because my big question was, we had between the pods, there are doors that open between the pods. They're not an exit door. Well, my thing was I wanted to be able to lock on both sides, like a hotel room, that you lock on both sides. Because our pod doors are locked. One of them is open because kids move in and out. And also because if there were something happening, God forbid, bring them in the pod, then shut the door, it's locked. Get in your classroom, it's locked. There's two locked doors. But the problem I kept running into, and human error. We all mess up. I mess up every day. Mr. Davis messes up all the time. Okay? But if there's human error and somebody gets in, and the way our pods are set up, and somebody didn't do what they're supposed to, and they're in a door, then the probability of that getting in the next pod is greater. It just kind of multiplies. You know what that is? Like, if you're in one, you're in the next one, then you're in the next one, and the next one, and the next one. So I talked to the SRO Robertson. I talked to this fire marshal, and he said that we could double lock them. So that's one of the big things this summer. We're going to get the hotel double lock system, and that way, so like if Miss Robertson's in her room, she'll lock her door, then go lock the pod door, and nobody.
Basically, a deadbolt.
Yeah, yeah. And
So then they won't be able to get, Miss Robertson and I share a door, but we can both lock our joint door so they couldn't get from her room into my room.
even though if somebody's in some room that open theirs, they can't open another one because it's locked on the other side. So that's one of the big things. And I talked to Grayson from South Middle Principal, and we both talked about that, and he, you know, that's one of the things that he agrees on too. So the doors stay locked all through instruction. It's tough. I know it's tough on them. I know it is.
The kids have adjusted to it though. They're really used to it now.
But it's, you know, it's a good thing to have behind that locked door. It really helps. So we make sure we have conversations about drills and why we do them. Kids, sometimes they don't understand why we do drills, and we try to do them at different times. But then you're like, at the first year we kind of talk to them about it, you know, and then they're like, well, why didn't you tell me? And I said, well, it's supposed to be a surprise, and it's tough. That's a tough conversation to have. One of the big things is I try to tell them, always listen to your adults, because if something were to happen, they've got to listen and do exactly what the adults are telling them to do, because it's a tough situation. If you know, and that's my big thing, is they've got to follow the adults when there's something happens, an event happens. Like I said, SRO Brent Robertson and I, we check the building periodically for issues. He's great about it. He shows up and he is ready to check things and look at it from a law enforcement perspective. He meets with kids in the academy, but it's just great having him there to check things and to really bounce things off
I'd like to say, when we were on the playground, when we were on that moderate lockdown, he came the next day when we were off of it and sat on the playground. I thought that was amazing. I was impressed with him.
Very impressed.
Yeah.
Very impressed.
I know why he makes the Bremen visits more often.
He's doing a good job.
He is. We hear that from all the schools. Elementary schools.
And I love talking to him.
April 9th, we had a big safety meeting at our school, and we're working on, Mr. Davis and I, he had the vision to try to work on that every year, to think about how you, and I'll tell you, it takes a lot to tell the general public and pre-plan for something like that. And you hate to think about that, but you want to get them more information, because you don't, so many times people think they're trying to help and then they're hurting. Like, you know, when we were at that Sandy Hook train, people just drove up. Well, they didn't know they were blocking the roads where EMS can't get there. They didn't think about that. They just thought, I'm going to try to get there. And then so it takes a lot to think about that. And you know, I didn't get a lot of calls about when we had the modified lockdown. You know, I didn't get really any calls, so I thought that was a good thing, because you know, I figured I'd get a call, hey, well, I couldn't eat lunch, but I tried to stay up front, and if somebody would come in, I kind of explained the situation. So, and I'll turn it over to Miss Kate for teacher comments.
Carrie Beth, it's your turn.
It's time for your presentation.
First, and then I will.
Face the camera, Carrie Beth, when you talk.
Turn around away.
Safety has to be our top priority. Academics matter, but safety is number one. And as a teacher and a parent that I have 2 kiddos at our school, that is what I think about. You know, are my kids safe with the teacher that they are with? Do they know if it's a lockdown and they're stuck in the bathroom, where do they go? And I feel like we practice enough that we don't scare our kiddos
kiddos, but they know the routines. They know what they are supposed to do in any situation. I can remember, I can't remember how many years you've been there, but some sweet child pulled the fire alarm at our school, and a lot of children were in lunch. And that was a learning experience for all of us because we had never gone through that before, you know? It was a learning experience for us as teachers, but for those kids too. What do you do if the fire alarm is pulled during lunch? Where do you go? It's time to practice, kiddos. The locked doors between our classrooms, I think, is a wonderful thing because really we could have just been setting ducks. They could have gotten into one pod and they can continue on from pod to pod to pod. And so I think that is a great thing. I am able to be in the nurse's office, which is the front office. I have a kiddo I have to take up there for about 30 minutes a day. And so I can hear parents buzz into the front door and Tammy asks them what they're coming for. You know, what are you here for? If she doesn't know immediately who they are, what are you here for? Are you coming to eat lunch with somebody? And then she lets them in. And so that's nice for her to be able to see who's at the front door before she even lets them in that front door. And then, you know, they have to come through another locked door. Makes me feel safer for my students and for my kids. If I'm not there, I know that they are safe whenever I'm not there.
Sure.
I'm even buzzed in when I come to the door, and I'm not saying I'm special or anything, but I mean, they buzz me in. But, and I think I can speak for Carrie Beth too.
Yes, you can.
We are. Everyone can.
Chad, on her.
She's pretending she's quiet over here.
But we all know different.
That's right. But as parents, we send our kids to school to learn. But there's always that thought in the back of our mind, is something bad going to happen? Is today going to be the day?
Yeah.
And when we leave our kids with these teachers right here, you know, these teachers, in the case of something bad happening, I'm sure they use their parental instincts and they're going to keep my kids safe. But my husband and I, when we went to Bremen last year for the first time when we took our son, he's a law enforcement officer. So of course safety came up and he said, Lindsay, you have to remember, he said, there are 2 locked doors to get into the building. Then you have a locked pod door, then you have a locked classroom door. Well, now this year, adding the button to be buzzed in, the cameras to be, you know, to see everybody going in, that just makes me feel more at ease and more comfortable sending my son to school.
And Lindsay, I'm buzzed in. And I sign in. I do, at each school.
I help you, like, she doesn't know where you're.
Sometimes, honestly, she'll just look at me.
Is your best on the right way? That's fine. I would rather them do that to every single parent, every visitor, because you never know. You can never be too cautious.
Yeah, they didn't let my son come out of the school on the day when we had the lockdown. Yeah, I went to get him for the medical test in Owensboro, and front desk girl Sarah came out, asked me what I'm here for. She said, you can't come in today. I'll bring your son out to you. So she brought him out. I appreciated it. You know, they're doing their job, not just because, you know.
And it's ultimately sad that we have to think of all these things.
I know.
However, I'd rather us all be thinking of these things and our kiddos
the wrong thing became a priority.
Safe. You know, my husband's on the Bremen Fire Department, and so he hears my side, and I hear what they have to do if, God forbid, anything ever happens, you know, because they practice that. And so I like that we're all prepared. As a community, I feel like we are all prepared if, God forbid, anything were to ever happen.
You all have a safety committee?
Yes, we do. It's part of our SBDM and has several law enforcement and Officer Robertson. We usually meet closer to the end of the year. It's one of our standing committees, but it shares its findings, and it's during our SBDM meetings, but it's during executive or closed session due to I didn't want people to see
what the complaints are and
complaints are. So that's the way it's
makes sense.
And
that's it. They're hungry.
if you guys, I want to say
They want to know
this.
the answers.
Thank you so much for all you guys do.
We appreciate
You know, you don't get a lot of credit for the things, and I appreciate all what you guys do. You got to put up with him. But you guys help our schools out tremendously. You guys are welcome to come to our buildings at any time. See our students and staff. Testing's coming up. You can come up then, but you know, we may be a little frantic then. I say stay away from testing time, but any other time, you're welcome to come. You know, and thank you guys. And if you got, I'm sure you got questions. So.
But I do want to tell you one thing. We do get a lot of credit. We get credit for things that happened 40 years ago.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Before I was born.
I would say so.
Well, having worked at Bremen, I know what a special place it is, and I'm happy to see you carrying on the tradition along with Ms. Dover and the fabulous staff there. I've never worked with a staff like that, not including this guy here. Everyone else was absolutely fantastic.
You all do a great job.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
You guys are pride of Muhlenberg.
Community and the school.
Thank you.
Yes.
I missed it.
You can go back to school.
I feel like I need to sometimes.
I'm just getting your sweet boy out of the car every day.
And these people here now, I'm telling you, in their coveralls, their Carhartts, getting kids out.
In a good mood.
In a
Yeah,
good
no, they
mood.
take them.
You know, like they can't even get the handle
Take
on
them
it.
home
I mean,
quick,
it's,
right?
I'm ready to get back home.
Yes.
Any
So,
questions?
you all do a fabulous job.
Lindsay, you don't do nothing anymore?
Are you kidding?
Just ask him, you can answer it, say, yes, I do. Okay. I was not supposed to hit on that one there, right? I'm sorry. I take
There's
it
a sign
back.
on my back. You can't read it.
I'll help you out. I don't have more comments, so I'll help you out. Thank you, guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Grant's by us here.
Yeah.
Rice and beans. Rice and beans.
Are you running for an office, Megan?
I'm not running next year, so let's get ready. Thank you. Thank you, girl. Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. I thought y'all may have been in there.
Yeah. What's missing in the office? Did you leave my jacket?
You might need to start washing this every
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
so much.
Thank you so much, Miss Harvey. Thank you. Hold on.
Thank you.
Hi, ma'am. Yes. Text me, remind me. I'll be by this week sometime for sure.
I need a motion to adjourn.
That's an honor.
That's it.
That's it?
That's it.
Get it.
She makes it. I'll second.
I'll get a hug out of it too, I'm sure.
Yeah, okay. She made the motion. I seconded it.
You got that? So Susan and Stephanie.